CEO of Army Cambodia. Having spent my whole professional life in the same company. Yeah, I see the growth of the company since the company was small, and now we are one of the treated company and diversified company in Cambodia, if not the largest. In my career, I always focus on qualifying people to find a new strategic idea to stay ahead of the game, and also to tell them that do not forget to develop their people and themselves. Today, I am honored here to welcome Professor Sunil from Harvard University, who I have met him as one of my professors at the General Management Program at Harvard Business School. His class, his presentation encouraged me a lot to change, to think different, to have different ideas. And that's the reason he is here today. And I think I just have his bio here for those who are not knowing. So Professor Sunil Gupta is one of the leading authority in the digital strategy. Professor Sunil Gupta is the Adjunct Kennedy Professor of Business Administration and Chair of General Management Program at Harvard Business School. He is also the co-chair of the Executive Program on Driving Digital Strategy. In the recent past, he has taught an elective course on the digital marketing strategy to MBA students and advanced management program to senior management. From 2008 to 2017, he served as the head of the marketing unit. Sunil currently research is in the area of digital technology and its impact on the consumer behavior and firm strategy. The key idea and finding from his research are described in his recent book, Driving Digital Strategy, a guide to reimagining your business. There are lots of people expect him to read the book here today, but probably because of the travel problem, he cannot finish it. He has written 2 other books which have caught attention and won a prize as the best book in marketing. In addition, he has written over hundreds of articles, book chapters, cases, and notes in the area of marketing and strategy. And several of them won award. Professor Gupta is well known in the US and international circles. Being a professor, he also speaking and advising to global companies around the world and quote in the major media channel. Professor Gupta earned a bachelor's degree of Mechanical Engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, an MBA from Indian Institute of Management, and PhD from Columbia University. Prior to joining Harvard, Sunil was a major federal professor of business at Columbia Business School and assistant professor at UCLA, and spent his sabbatical year at McKinsey & Co. Before giving the stage to him, just let me summarize the agenda. So after the professor will do a presentation. After that, you can have a question if you want to understand more, to know more. And then we have a donation. So thank for everyone for contribution. So the money left over from the event, so we continue to contact with our hospital. So we have honor from Professor to donate to the hospital. And after that, we have the dinner, so please enjoy and welcome Professor on board.
It's a pleasure to be here. This is my first time in Cambodia, and I'm really impressed with what I've seen so far. So thank you all for coming. It's truly a pleasure. And Sang was one of the first Cambodians in my class, and I was delighted to have him. I also met Kevin today, who's also a graduate of our business school, so I'm delighted to see some of our graduates here. Give you a brief preview as to how I got started in this business. The journey started about 10 years ago. And like most of you, I'm curious about what's happening in digital technology, how the world is changing. And as part of my research, I looked at 3 groups of companies. The first group of companies I looked at are the startups and the venture capital who are funding them. So I made my pilgrimage to Silicon Valley, talked to a lot of young startup guys, including many of our MBA students, to understand why they're doing what they're doing, how are they thinking differently, and why are the VCs funding them. So if you know the Silicon Valley area, the Sand Hill Road right outside Stanford is a very busy hub, so I went up and down the Sand Hill Road many times to understand the perspective of those guys. So that's one group of companies I studied. The second group of companies I studied are what I call digital giants. These are the Amazons, the Apples, the Facebooks of the world, who grew up digitally, but now they have to interact with large established companies. So if I'm Facebook, I have to understand how advertising works and how General Motors or Ford thinks about advertising. And the third group of companies I looked at, especially in the last 5 years, are the established companies, the legacy companies, the Goldman Sachs, the General Electric, the General Motors, the New York Times, and they are all trying to shift digitally because the technology is affecting every large business. And it's much harder to make a change in a large established business because it's like moving a large ship, it's not that easy. So what I'll do is I'll just share some of the ideas from this during this presentation. So let me start with perhaps the obvious, which is how technology is rapidly changing in the last 10, 20 years, certainly within our lifetime. And you've seen all kinds of examples yourself. Let me share some of my favorite examples. So this is a pill with a digestible chip on it. So imagine you have a stomach problem. You go to a doctor. The doctor prescribes you this pill. The chip in the pill is now inside your tummy. It monitors the fluid inside your tummy. The information is uploaded to your smartphone, and the information then is sent from the smartphone to the doctor, who might be sitting 3,000 kilometers away. This is not science fiction. This is being developed by a company called Proteus based in San Diego, which was bought by Novartis and is already commercial. This is a bionic eye. So if imagine you are a doctor and you have a blind patient, you can insert a chip in his retina and give them the special glasses. The glasses have a little camera. The camera captures the image, which is sent to the chip on the retina. That goes to the brain wave, and suddenly the blind patient can see. This operation was successfully done 2 years ago in the UK, and the expectation is in the next 5 to 10 years it will become widely available, and suddenly a lot of blind people will stop doing so. 3D printing is already here. You can print your dental bridge. But now, 2 years ago, scientists at MIT and Harvard were able to use stem cells in the 3D printer to print human heart. And the forecast is, again, in the next 5 to 10 years, and certainly in our lifetime, we'll be able to print human organs. So if you need a kidney transplant, you just go to a 3D printer, type kidney, and out on the kidney itself. So I can give you hundreds of examples of this kind, which show you amazing amount of technological advancements. The scientists are very hard at work. So that's undisputable. That's certainly, I would call it a fact. The second question that we started looking at is, if scientists are hard at work, are we, the consumers, quick to adopt it? Because sometimes consumers are slow in adopting new technology. So here's a little trivia for you. I listed a bunch of technology right from telephone that came out in 1876. How long do you think it took telephone to reach 150 million people worldwide? I know it's a large room to take a guess. Anyone to guess? How many? Shout out. 100 years? Okay, any other guess? Pretty close. 89 years. Black and white television, 1928. Again, how many years for black and white television to reach 150 million people globally? You know it has to be less than 89 because my scale doesn't go beyond 90. Any estimates on that? 50, 60? 38 years. Some of you may remember the first cell phone that came out. You actually had to carry a little suitcase. I know because my brother was a cardiologist, he had carried a little suitcase. That is a mobile phone. That took 14 years, so you know where it is going. And now, of course, technology is being adopted very quickly. We are very hungry for technology. So, two facts so far. Number one, scientists are hard at work developing new technologies. And number two, we as consumers are very quick to adopt. So the third question, which was the heart of our conversation today, and also the heart of the book, and my research was, so what does it mean for business? Because if consumer behavior shifts because of technology, then businesses may have to shift the way they do business. So let me give you a high-level view, and then I'll go dig deeper into the different aspects. So here's a high-level view of how I see different phases of digital revolution. The first thing started with e-commerce, and Amazon is a good example of that, or Alibaba for that matter. Amazon, as you know, was founded in 1995. And what e-commerce did was it disrupted industries where we as consumers would search online and buy online. Think of music, travel, books. All those things were something disruptive. We need a translation. The book industry was affected, and so was the music industry. Then came Google, and now you had another set of industries affected. Certainly, information and media industries, newspapers were in trouble, but also other set of industries where we as consumers wanted information, wanted to search for information, even if we could not buy online. Think of automobiles, think of pharmaceuticals. Suddenly, the conversation between the dealer and the consumer changed. Suddenly, the conversation between the patient and the physician changed. Notice in the first two phases, the largest consumer goods companies, the Coca-Cola, the Pepsi, the Procter & Gamble, were not quite sure what to do with technology. Because if you're Coca-Cola, consumers didn't want any information about Coke. You don't need any information. And you couldn't buy Coke online. So as a result, in the first two phases, these companies were sitting on the sideline not knowing what to do with it. That changed with social media. Facebook being one example of that. Because suddenly it became a mechanism to connect with brands and build customer trust. And we saw a huge amount of shift in marketing from traditional media to more digital media. And then came the smartphones and mobile phones had two major impacts. As you know, iPhone came out in 2007, just about 11, 12 years old. And mobile phone had two major impacts. One was another set of industries affected. Banking, for example, the mobile banking, the healthcare system dramatically impacted. But also mobile had a much bigger global impact. Because many emerging markets like Cambodia, like India, like China, like Nigeria, Kenya, we did not have access to broadband as much. Suddenly everybody has a phone, whether it's a smartphone or a feature phone. So now you see a lot of new innovation actually coming out of these emerging markets than the developed countries like the United States or Europe. And the more recent thing is the IoT or Internet of Things, where you can start putting chips into machines, whether it's jet engines or wind turbines, and start collecting lots of data. And that's why you hear more about big data and machine learning and artificial intelligence, because you get tons of data, you have to analyze this to understand how it makes sense out of it. Okay? So this is a very broad overview of the different evolutions of how technology is affecting different parts of the business. Now, as part of my research, when I was going around and talking to companies, the question I asked almost every company is, this is what we see happening in the world. So what is your digital strategy? What are you doing differently today than you were doing yesterday? And the answer I got from all these companies, and I must have talked to hundreds of different companies, the answer I got from all these companies into three categories. The first answer people gave me is they're using technology to cut costs and improve efficiency. So if I'm a bank, I shut down some branches and I do mobile banking because it's reducing my cost and it improves customer experience. Great idea. You should always cut costs and improve efficiency. But if that's all you're doing, you might be the most efficient but most irrelevant bank in the world in 10 years. Because Alibaba will become your wealth manager, or Amazon will come, and they are not banks. So suddenly you have to start thinking laterally because bank is not your only competitor. So that's strategy number one people told me. The second strategy people told me that they use, they said that it's very hard to predict what technology has in store for us tomorrow. So I'm going to do a bunch of experiments to see what works and what doesn't. Again, great idea, you should always do experiments to learn. But the reality is in large companies, every brand, every manager, every country had started doing experiments, and suddenly a large multinational company has hundreds of experiments going on that don't add up to anything. So as an example, I talked to the CEO of Henkel, Casper Roster, and he asked his management team to take an audit of all the digital experiments going inside Henkel, and they stopped counting after 200. So everybody was excited that we are doing something digitally, but they really didn't move the needle because they were already very happy. So that's the strategy number two people use. The third strategy people tell me is, look, it's very hard to do innovation in a large company. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a separate startup, separate unit. Hire some bunch of young people, give them a few $1 million, and send them to California. And hopefully good things will happen. So now if you go to California, every major company has a small setup. Whether it's Walmart, whether it's GE, whether it's General Motors, everybody has a small setup. And the hope is somehow the innovation of Silicon Valley will run the business. The reality is, majority of the time it doesn't work. And the reason is very simple. You as a large company are like a large ship. By launching a separate unit in California, you launch the speedboat. Usually the speedboat takes off, but the ship doesn't. So if the goal is to move the ship and change the core of your business, you can't keep launching the speedboat. So after having heard these three strategies that people use, at least I was not satisfied. This is not a real shift in the overall business. And that led to the quest of doing the research for the last 10 years and looking for companies that are doing something different and understanding how the rules of business change and how they have changed. So that's what I'm going to share with you. And my framework is not very complex, it's very simple. The basic idea is if you are a large established business, you have to do two things at the same time. You have to strengthen the core of what you have because there are certain things that you do very well. But you also have to build for the future at the same time. Because the future may not be the same as today. And doing both things at the same time is sometimes hard. Because it's like changing the engine of a plane while it's flying. You can't stop the plane. You're not a startup. And that's the hard part. And in order to do that, you have to do four things simultaneously. You have to think about your business strategy differently. You think about your operations differently. You think about how you engage with customers differently. And you have to think about your organizational structure. What I'm going to share today with you is about business strategy. How do we reimagine our business strategy? Okay. And the way I'm going to tell it is I'm going to tell you a bunch of stories. Okay. Because we all love stories. If you remember when you were young, your parents probably told you bedtime stories. And at the end of the story, there was a moral of the story. And that's exactly what you learn. You tell us a story, and at the end, hopefully there's some common lessons that will come up that you can apply hopefully to your business. Alright, sounds good? And I would love some interaction if we can. I know it's a large group, but we'll, as Kevin is hanging out at our business school, we don't lecture, we just have a discussion. So I would love to have that at the same time. So let's start with the company that all of you know, Amazon. Anybody bought at Amazon? Kevin, did you buy something? What did you buy? Your tradition books. And why would you buy from Amazon rather than going to your local store? Why would you buy from Amazon rather than going to your store, next door store? Okay. Okay. So that's exactly how Amazon started in 1995. Basically, the three value proposition. It's easy, it's convenient, I don't It's the huge amount of variety that you can't find in your local bookstore. And why do they have so much variety? Because I don't have a physical constraint of a store. Effectively, I have an infinite store. And the third was Amazon is cheaper. Why is it cheaper? Because I don't have the fixed cost for the brick and mortar store. So if I remove the fixed cost of the store, I'm also making the free. So that's how Amazon started as an online retailer to fight against Walmart and other brick and mortar stores. But it didn't stop there. Very soon, Amazon became a marketplace. What is a marketplace? It basically was not only selling what they had, but it also allowed third-party sellers, people like you and me, can go on the Amazon platform and sell our products to their customers. Now think about it. Walmart does not allow me to set up a shop in their shop. But Amazon is saying, hey, please come on my platform and you can sell to my customers with this. Now why would Amazon do that? Well, clearly, it expands the number of products it can sell. So it provides a better benefit to the consumers because I have more variety. I get a commission without incurring the cost of inventory. So that's a more profitable for me. I have learned more about consumers because rather than selling only 10 items, now I'm selling 1,000 items. So I can learn what consumer behavior is to review the consumer. I get more data as well. Lots of benefits. And I can, how does Amazon do market research about a new product? They don't. They say, if you want to sell a fancy product, they say, please come on, sell it. If it sells well, I know it will work well. And then I say, thank you very much, I'll sell it myself. So there's actually a loving relationship between Amazon and sellers. And then perhaps the most useful thing and reason to become a marketplace is the so-called network effects. And what that means is if I have more sellers on my platform who give more variety, I get more buyers because buyers can find everything. And once I have more buyers, more sellers come. So it becomes a positive reinforcement loop. And the net effect of network effects is the big player keeps getting bigger. And it's very hard to displace. Effectively, it becomes a de facto monopoly. So even if I start an e-commerce platform, which is better than Amazon in terms of speed and price and everything else, nobody's coming to book.com. Why? Because all the sellers are there. And all the sellers are there, therefore all the buyers are there. That's why there's only one Facebook. That's why there's only one WhatsApp. So it's very hard to displace those guys. Now, not only it became a marketplace, it started producing hardware, Kindle. Remember, Amazon started as a retailer. So why is a retailer producing a hardware? And Kindle came even before iPad. So now it's fighting with iPad. Why would Amazon become a manufacturer of hardware? Well, the reason is very simple, because Amazon realized that consumers are moving from buying physical books to downloading ebooks, and therefore I provide Kindle as a vehicle for them to download. But it's more than that. Think about it. If you're Amazon, where will you make more money? Will you make more money on Kindle, or will you make more money on ebooks? Books. So the purpose of Kindle is the classic razor and blade strategy. Kindle is the razor in order to sell the blade, which is ebook. You don't make money on the razor, you sell razor cheap in order to make money on the blade. So the Kindle is not really for making money. Kindle is simply to helping people download more and more books so they can make more money on them. And in fact, there's also a lesson in this that most companies, when they introduce new products, they have a separate P&L for each product. Separate P&L. In this case, it won't make sense to have a separate P&L statement for Kindle, because the purpose of Kindle is not to make money. The purpose of Kindle is to sell books. So if you incentivize the manager of Kindle to make money, you destroy the relationship that razor and blade that we talked about. Okay. And then of course it moved to video on demand. Streaming service, and if you think about who's Amazon's competition, these are the Amazon's competitors. So suddenly it became a competitor of Netflix. Because with Netflix you can stream movies. But Amazon is saying, I like it. Well, simply because consumers, just like books, people are not buying DVDs anymore, they're streaming. So I literally move with the customer instead of selling DVDs. I stream the content. Can I do that? Yes, because I have AWS, the cloud servicing, and in fact Netflix is one of my largest customers. And then they did something a little strange. which is basically an Amazon studio. And they started making their own movies and own TV shows. So now Amazon's competition is Hollywood. They were not movies here. Now they're competing with Hollywood. I don't know about you, Kevin, but when I was learning strategy in my MBA classes, I was told to focus. This does not look like focus to me. So obviously, Jeff Bezos missed that class. So why is he doing that? Why is he making movies? What's the purpose of making movies? Any thoughts? Any bright ideas in the audience? You guys are all shy. My students are never this shy. Anybody wants to venture as to why do you think Amazon is making movies? And by the way, they're spending $5 to $6 billion on making movies. A movie costs $100 million or so, and there's a very high risk of failure. So it makes no sense. In fact, most movie studios don't make money. I was doing quite well, selling books and selling merchandise and selling electronics. Why in the world would I sell? Such as Amazon Prime. So is Amazon Prime available here? No. Okay. So Amazon Prime is a very interesting service that they added, which is they started with $79 per year membership fee. And the idea was if you subscribe to Amazon Prime and pay $79 upfront, then you get 2-day free shipping on anything you buy from Amazon. Okay. That's how they started. But people like you are smart. You can do this mental math in your head as to how many shipments will I get, and is $79 worth it or not? Jeff Bezos does not want you to do that calculation. So what does he do? He adds a few movies, he throws in a few content which is exclusive to Amazon, and suddenly you can't do the math because what's the value of a movie? Now they increase the price from $79 to $99, and then again from $99 to $129. 30% increase in price, nobody blinked. Today, Amazon has 100 million Amazon customers globally. Think about it for a moment. 100 million Prime customers, each giving more than $100 per year. That's $10 billion in my pocket without even opening the store. People are giving Amazon $100 or more for the privilege of shopping at Amazon. And then once they become Prime members, what the research shows is the Amazon Prime members spend 3 to 4 times more than the non-Prime members. Because once you become a member of a club, you want to go to the club overall. And perhaps even more interesting is Amazon Prime members never do price comparison on other sites. And by the way, now Amazon is not the cheapest. It's only cheaper 30 to 40% of the time. But people don't care because I'm a Prime member. I just go there and buy that. Convenience and speed is far more important than a couple of bucks there. So suddenly, in fact, the purpose of Prime, making movies is not to make money on the movies. The purpose of the movies is to get more Prime members to be sticky because they're getting some new content, unique content that they won't get anywhere else. And once they become Prime members, they buy more stuff on my site. In fact, Jeff Bezos has gone on to say that every time we win a Golden Globe Award for our content, we sell more shoes. So suddenly we have a very different razor. Movies is a razor in order to sell shoes. Very, very different strategy. And of course, you can go on. So if you take just the Amazon example, this story, what is the lesson from this story? I think there are 2 lessons from this story. One is industry boundaries are getting blurred. The way we used to think about is I'm a bank, therefore my competition are other banks. I think that is history. Because if you ask us who's Amazon's competitor, everybody's Amazon's competitor. Right? So the competition does not come from the traditional industry boundaries. Competition comes from whoever can serve the customer better will actually become your competition. So that's number 1. Number 2, I think the rules of strategy have changed. Again, when I was in the MBA program, I learned about competitive strategy by reading Michael Porter's stuff. Some of you may have read that. Now Michael Porter is my colleague, so I have to be careful what I say. Okay, but thankfully he's not in the audience, so I can get away with anything I want. But if you were to summarize the Michael Porter's work research that has had a huge amount of influence, and say where does competitive advantage come from? basically say the competitive advantage comes from making product either better or cheaper. Either you are differentiated, you have much better quality, or you're cheaper than the other guys. And then you have a competitive advantage. Okay? Very simple idea and makes sense. But that is very focused on selling one product to one customer. What if I want to sell multiple products to the same customer? Same customer. That's when you have the razor and blade. I can sell single cheap in order to make money in the e-books. Now, some of you can say, well, razor and blade have been around forever, so what's new now? I think what's new now is razor and blade can be completely different categories. Razor could be Amazon movies, and blade could be shoes. Think about it for a moment. If Amazon tomorrow wants to become a bank and wants to give loans to small and medium enterprises, how can they compete against banks? So you're Jeff Bezos. You just decided tomorrow that you want to become a bank. And you got to give loans to small and medium enterprises to help them grow. And you obviously want to find some competitive advantage over and above the banks. Yeah? Okay, and how about the budget credit card? Okay. Okay, so you have more data which helps you as to understand their financial needs. In fact, you can have a better risk management than the banks because banks don't know that detail. Anything else? Anything else? I think Amazon can do something even better. Amazon can say, I will give the loans, I don't have to make that much money on the loans. I can give loans much cheaper to the small and medium enterprise than any bank can offer. Why? Because I don't have to make that much money on the loan. I will make money when these enterprises grow, do more transactions on my platform, and therefore generate more revenue and more profit. So loans will become my razor, and the transactions that they do on my platform will become my blade. The moment I make the bank's core business my razor, they're done. They can't compete. You're playing a very different game. And that's the beauty of the company. That what is your core business? If somebody's the razor and they're ready to lose money or not make that much money, it's not about making it better or cheaper because they're playing a very different game. It's become very hard. And then on the other side is if you're selling the same product to multiple customers. And that's when you have the network effects. So if you are the only, think about WhatsApp. If you're the only person in the world who uses WhatsApp or Facebook, what's the value of WhatsApp or Facebook to you? Zero. Unless you like yourself too much. But now, as more and more people use WhatsApp, the value of WhatsApp increases without any change in the product. So it's not about product, it's about connecting people. In the digital age, it's about connecting. The complement, we are connecting products. And with network effects, we are connecting people. So connections are far more important than just simply focusing on products. And of course, the ideal thing is to do both, where we can build complements and network effects. And of course, WeChat is one good example. WeChat started with a messaging service, which was connecting people. It was a free service. They were not making any money. That became my razor, because now on top of that, I can build payment systems, I can build other transaction platforms, and some of them where I will make money. I've already got the capital. So, with that, I'll say my first moral of the story is you have an maybe I. So one of the questions that I'm asked by many people is, well, these are all technology companies. Do these principles apply to a traditional company? So let me give an example of a traditional company where we can apply these principles of razor and blade and the network effects. So this is a company called US Foods. This is the second largest distributor of food in the United States. It's a $23 billion company. They basically source food like wheat, produce, vegetables, etc. And they distribute it to independent restaurants, small restaurants. I know a little bit about this company because I'm on their board. The way the US Food was competing with the other guys, they have one big competitor, larger player, and lots of other smaller players, was focusing on the product. So the company will go to the restaurant guys and say, my fish is better or my fish is cheaper. Traditional strategy. Right? That's exactly how you typically do. Either convince the guy that my produce is better, or I'm cheap. But as you can imagine, if I can provide good fish, so can the competition. And over time, everything breaks down, prices going down, and margins are low. And then we became a price war. The question that we started asking is, how can we get out of this? Can we use some of the lessons from Amazon to apply to this food distribution business? Doesn't seem like a straightforward thing. Right? I think the trick in all this is to ask yourself, what is the customer's pain point? What is customer's problem that we're trying to solve? And you have to go beyond your immediate product. So ask yourself, if you're a restaurant owner, what is your major problem? Forget about fish and produce for the moment. Imagine you're running a restaurant, a small restaurant. What is your major anxiety when you go to sleep in the night? What are you worried about? Well, we thought about it, and the research shows that 60 to 70% of the restaurants shut down every year. They go bankrupt. So if I'm a restaurant owner, every night I sleep, I'm worried about whether I will exist tomorrow or not. My very survival is at stake. In other words, I need to be profitable in order to survive. You also know that most restaurant owners are really passionate about food. They know food, they really love food, they really love to cook different kinds of food. But they're not good business people. They don't know how to run a restaurant. They don't know how to do inventory management. They don't know how to price their products. They don't know how to get labor. They don't know how to drive traffic. But they love food. And as a result, there's so much passion about food, they don't know anything about running a business. That's why they go bankrupt. If you recognize this problem, then the question is, can US food help them solve these kind of problems? And that's exactly what we did, which is we offered them software services using the data about their business. Now, most of this software doesn't have to be developed by US food. Many of this software can be developed by third parties who we connect to these guys and either people. And the software is given for either free or at a highly subsidized price. This is my reason. And I'm solving the consumer's problem by making them much more efficient so they don't go bankrupt. The moment I provide this service to help them become profitable, the discussion shifts from the price of fish. Because I'm now their partner who's helping solve their problem. Okay. And that's my reason now, rather than just focusing on the cost. And of course, how will we build network effects? Well, we know that the restaurant market is very fragmented, and so are the food suppliers, so we can turn the food suppliers and the restaurants in this platform. And again, this builds just like the platform that Amazon has. It creates this huge competitive feedback loop. More food suppliers will come on my platform because they have access to more restaurants, and more restaurants will come on my platform because they have access to more variety. And that creates a virtual. So I think I'm now working with Bacardi, which sells rums, and he sort of said they've been focusing only on the product. That I can only sell my rums better or cheaper. But the question we are asking is, can we build a razor blade? So I think this idea of razor blade, it's a very simple idea and it can be applied, but you have to broaden your lens and not only focus on your product. All historical strategy books were written with a focus on product. That's why they say my product is better than cheap. But if you focus on the consumer problem, I think the world will be much better. So my first lesson of the story is to say, okay, business, what business you are in. You can't define. If I ask you, so what business is Amazon in? Is it a retailer? Not quite. Because it's making movies. Is it a hardware manufacturer? Not quite. There's also doing a little bit of everything. And it's literally moving to consumers. And Amazon says, if I don't have the capability, I will build it. But I'm moving to the customer. Are you ready for the second story? Yes. All right. Let's go take the second story of a company called Best Buy. This is the largest electronic chain in the United States. It's a large retailer, and they sell electronics like laptops, televisions, smartphones, you name it. A Frenchman by the name of Jolie became the CEO in 2012. I got to know him quite well. He actually comes to GMP, many of the classes. My first question was, of course, why did you become the CEO of Best Buy? Because Best Buy was in trouble. And he said, well, I like jobs. I said, good luck. What do you think is Best Buy's major problem? If you're a CEO of Best Buy, what's your major problem? Amazon, right? Amazon is everybody's problem. And Best Buy still gets a lot of foot traffic. Lots of people coming to Best Buy to see the product. So let's product on the television, talk to the salesperson, give all the information, and then what do I do? I take out the smartphone, take a picture of the barcode, check the price on Amazon, and lo and behold, it's cheaper on Amazon because Amazon doesn't have a fixed cost per store. So I said, thank you very much, Best Buy. I'm going to buy it from Amazon. So Best Buy has become the showroom of Amazon. In fact, Amazon was encouraging this behavior at one point in time. They were telling people that if you go to stores like Best Buy and do this, and scan something, and buy it on Amazon, we'll give you 5% off. So now you are the CEO of Best Buy. You're facing literally survival. What do you do? How do you get out? Price match. Can you afford to match prices? Remember, your cost structure is higher because you have the fixed cost of store. Amazon doesn't have a fixed cost of store. So you can match pricing, but you will bleed to death much faster. So unless you have suicidal rich, price matching will not be most effective. Unless you figure out some other sources of revenue. Sorry? Shake hands with Amazon. And what are you going to do? So you go to Jeff Bezos and say what? And Jeff Bezos is going to pay you for that. So you plan to go to Jeff Bezos and says, I'm helping you sell more, please pay me money. Okay, and he will pay you. Sorry? Okay, but let's stay with him. So he's saying, Sam, let's take you the CEO of Amazon, let's take you Jeff Bezos. He's come to you and says, pay me the money, what do you pay me? No. Why not? He doesn't need you. So he's saying, in fact, I'm encouraging people to do this because it reduces my cost. So that will work. In fact, some people in the company said, well, what if we provide better customer service? Because we have the physical stores, Amazon doesn't, we can provide great customer experience. Well, imagine if we provide great customer experience, what will happen? Now the customer walks in, they have a very knowledgeable salesperson, the salesperson is extremely courteous and nice, they provide absolutely fantastic service, they probably give them cappuccino or whatever, and then what is the customer do? Once they get all the information, they pull out their smartphone, check the prices, Amazon is 10% cheaper, thank you very much for the great service, I'm going to buy from Amazon. So you increase your service cost, but you really haven't sold. Then people start saying, well, let's focus on repairs. Because for repairs we need physical space. Well, repairs was perhaps a reasonable thing 10, 15 years ago. But ask yourself, when was the last time you repaired your phone or your laptop?
Throw away.
In fact, most people in the US never repair stuff. If it breaks, you just throw it and buy a new one. It's much cheaper to buy a new one than to repair it. And most of the stuff works out of the box. You don't need to go to any expert to load a software. That used to be 15 years ago when we didn't know much about technology. So that is not going to work. So you went through a series of all these options. So now think about it slightly differently. Supposing Best Buy were to disappear tomorrow, will consumers miss it?
Actual experience.
Some consumers will, not everybody, but some consumers, people who walk into the store will see the quality of the television will visit. So we know we provide value. We just can't capture it. Right? In fact, some of my MBA students, when I tell them, they say, oh yeah, it's easy way, but if we provide value, we can capture it. We can charge them money, a fee, for entering the store. I said, good luck, we try that. And then in one executive program, when I told them this, they said, no, you shouldn't charge these customers for walking into the store. You should charge them walking out of the store if they don't buy it. So I mean, all those brilliant ideas are not work. So here is the story. We know we provide value to the customer, but we just can't capture it. Now ask yourself the question: if Best Buy were to disappear tomorrow, will any manufacturers miss it? Will Apple miss it? Maybe not, because Apple has its own stores. Will Samsung miss it? Samsung phone from Best Buy or Amazon, you care that they buy Samsung and not iPhone. In order to do that, I have to showcase my product. That's exactly why Apple has a store, to showcase the product. So if Best Buy kind of stores disappear, then as Samsung, what do I have to do? I have to build stores like Apple, which will cost me a lot of money. So I'm providing some value to Best Buy and saving them cost so that they don't have to have the stores. Once you realize that, what are you going to do? You go to these companies, manufacturers, suppliers, as you said, and say, hey, pay me money for showcasing your product. In fact, I will come to a showroom for you. So Best Buy reached out to these guys, and now they have stores within stores. So there's a corner of LG, there's a corner of Samsung, there's a corner of Sony. And the manufacturers are paying for that space. Not only that, they are paying for the fixtures in those locations to build a nice little corner for themselves. Many times they bring their own salespeople because they are the most knowledgeable. And because they have invested in that space, they actually bring the latest technology first to Best Buy, which brings in more customers. So suddenly, instead of capturing value only from content and the sales margin, I'm now actually capturing value also from the supplier. And if you look at the impact on financials, Best Buy was losing $1.2 billion when Hubert became the CEO. Now they're making $1.2 or $1.3 billion. Huge trend. And of course, once they found a new source of revenue, they can start matching prices as well. Because they realize that Amazon is not cheaper all the time. So intellectually, they can start matching prices. So all the other ideas start playing. So once you have the resources, you know you're not going to back. So what is it? Yeah. Yeah, so now they're matching prices. They initially couldn't match prices because if they match prices and they have no money left, they'll go bankrupt. Now they have extra source of revenue for suppliers. And their research also shows that Amazon is cheaper only 30% of the time, so they can actually start backing. They've also changed the product mix. So for example, now they have much more bigger equipment like washing machine and others. So there are lots of other things that they did, not just what I told you. But just simply, if they started with price match and nothing else, they would have gone back. Right?
One of the things they do as well is Amazon took delivery home installation. So you spend a certain amount of money, you get free installation at home.
Right.
A lot of people in the US require.
Yeah. So installation is one other option to sort of say we focus on installation. Again, installation is only for select if you buy into the big items like television or washing machine, etc. But also, Amazon is not far behind because Amazon is now actually saying if you buy from Amazon, we have a team of installation guys, independent contractors who are quite happy to come to your home to install it. Right? So Amazon is already there. Some people also said, look, Best Buy, you instantly can buy it, Amazon will take 1 or 2 days. Well, Amazon is closing that gap as well because they can now deliver with Prime now, they can deliver within 24 hours. In fact, sometimes they can deliver within 2 hours. And this is before the drones. And once the drones come, I think the Amazon can much more. Yeah, so Magnolia Theater is not working as well. In fact, one of the things that Best Buy is now doing is the same thing they were razor and blade. They have tested this service in Canada and now bringing it, they found a base, etc., they're bringing it to the US. And the service is, they're sending home advisors to consumers' houses. So if you're a consumer who wants to have some tech support or some kind, and you want to think about, okay, I want a speaker system in my house, or I want a movie theater in my house, or I want to build some other things. They will send a home advisor to your home for free. That's my razor. And then home advisor will give you advice as to what speakers you should buy, where to install them, what should be the configuration, etc. No obligation to buy something from Best Buy. And what their test in Canada showed that once you do that, people feel, oh, actually I will end up buying from this guy because I've built that relationship. And by the way, the prices are not that different from Amazon anyway. So they have built a razor again, just like you saw earlier, where home advisor is free service, not to sell the electronic. And that's working quite well, which is the next phase of transformation. So what is the moral of the story? I think the moral of the story is you have to figure out new ways of creating and capturing value, which is definitely a business model. As the world shifts around you, the old ways of how you create value and nominal capital value may change. And the best way to think about that is to ask yourself a very simple but very tough question, which is, if you did not exist tomorrow, who will miss you? Very hard question to ask. What if nobody misses us? We're in trouble. So the salespeople's pitch of saying, oh, we will provide great value is just that sales pitch. The real question is, if nobody misses you, you're not providing value. And if somebody misses you, that's the person who's willing to pay. You ready for the third story? Feeling more creative? Alright. If you're feeling more creative, let's just redesign a gas station. Or you call it a petrol pump, petrol station? What do you call it? Petrol station. So petrol station has been like this forever. For decades. What do you think the future petrol station will look like? And I know electric cars are coming, but electric cars will still take a long time. You still have the regular petrol cars, gasoline cars. What is the petrol station of the future might look like?
Self-service.
Sorry, shop and action. Okay, so you have a shop. Yeah, they already have those little shops that you can buy sandwiches, and you can buy your Coke, and you can buy your coffee. Anything else?
Self-service.
Yeah.
Self-service.
Self-service. Okay. Self-service, and again, many of these stations, at least in the US, they already self-service. Any other ideas? Okay, creative. Sorry? I'm not sure I heard that. Toilets. Okay. Yeah, they do have that. In many places, yes, it becomes a place to stop, and then when you're there, you might have the toilet is your razor in some places you want. Okay? Okay. So good question. So let's start with what you're asking, which is, how many of you like going to a petrol station? Nobody. How many of you hate going to a petrol station? Probably everybody. So that's the consumer problem we want to solve. If most people don't like going to the petrol station, how can we solve that problem? Petrol station comes to you instead of you going to the petrol station. Would you charge a convenience for that? Would you charge a fee for that? 10%, 15%? How many of you willing to sign up if I charge you 15% premium?
We don't want them video.
Let me make it a super deal. I'll charge you the same price that you pay at the petrol station, but I'll come to you. How many of you are willing to sign up for that? How do they make money? Save the fixed cost of the petrol station. I don't have fixed cost. It's exactly what I'm done there. Remove the fixed cost, I'll offer you the freedom to play. And by the way, I'm not going to come to your individual houses, that'll be too expensive, but I'll come where there are lots of cars parked. For example, office spaces, or shopping malls, or movie theaters, there are lots of cars. Where does technology come in? Just like you said, I can build an app, just like Uber, and I can keep it down here. Tomorrow they'll put any chips in the car, that the car automatically tells me if the petrol is a gas, is below a certain level. And by the way, if I'm filling in gas or petrol in your car, I can put groceries in your car, I can put in dry cleaning, I can expand the business. Many of the startups, actually there are several startups who are beginning to do this in collaboration with some of the largest oil companies. It's already working in Texas and in California. Now, of course, you need to figure out the economics, you need to figure out the safety, you need to figure out all those things. But people love the music, that's why it's going to Yes, so clearly safety is an issue. But the petrol tanks go to the station anyway, right? So I'm not suggesting that you would have, this is like an easy thing, you have to overcome certain barriers. But the point is, if we have a potential idea, I mean the thing about creativity is you don't shoot an idea because of some barrier. You start with an idea and say, is it an interesting idea? And in my judgment, if it's an interesting idea because it solves a business problem. Because if consumers don't care, then no matter how much you care about it, it doesn't work. If it solves the consumer's problem, then you can figure out if we can solve the other barriers. Yeah. So the trick is asking the consumer-focused problem. If I think about future of petrol station, I'm thinking about petrol station. If I think from consumer's point of view, I'm saying, what is it, do consumers like going to petrol station? More fundamental question, we go into different direction. And the same thing, if you look at the car dealership. Car dealership has been like this for a long time. In fact, forever. We have very large dealerships, lots of cars, and typically, because there's a large dealership, they're typically outside the city because you can't afford the big space at the heart of the city. Dealership is too expensive. Consumer behavior shifted because of technology. We used to go to the car dealership to get information about the car. Now, how do we get information about a car? We go online, search online, get all the information on the car. In fact, when you go to the dealership, you know more about the car than the car salesperson. So why do you go to the dealer? To test drive to see the car. If that's the only reason you go to the dealer, what if I send the two cars you want to test drive to your home when you want? Solve a problem for you, I don't think it's use space. In fact, tomorrow, once virtual reality comes, you don't even need to test drive because the download will virtually go into the car. Tesla is actually doing the same thing, that they don't have these huge showrooms. Audi has learned from this 4 or 5 years ago. They decided to build one of the smallest showrooms in UK, in the heart of London. Instead of a big showroom, if you have too many cars, you have to go outside of London. But here they built a showroom which is 1/6 the size of this room, very small room, just one car in it, with a lot of electronic panels, and in the heart of London. What is the effect of that? There's a lot of foot traffic on the main street. People who are looking at and going across that main street, they see this showroom, and many of them are curious, and they were never in the market for cars like their own Audi. Because it was a lot of foot traffic in the showroom, they had 50,000 visits in the very first year, more than the number of visits in some of the largest dealerships in UK. And because of large foot traffic, the sales were 60 to 70% higher than some of the largest dealerships that they had. Simply because they have a bigger farm. More people suddenly be curious. And as I said, Tesla is doing the same thing. Tesla does not have a showroom, they actually put one car in shopping malls. And people go past, they're not in the market for electric cars. But you see it 20 times, you suddenly come to, that's how I ended up at Tesla. And perhaps the most interesting thing here is that half the people didn't bother test drive. A car is a car is not. In fact, in China, they're even testing selling cars by vending machine. Just like the Coke or Pepsi or chocolate. Because once you have researched the car, you know everything. And you probably test liver in a rental space or something. Just go to this huge vending machine, you press a button and the car goes up. So, what is the moral of the story? You start with the customer endpoint and work backwards. Just like with the gas station, we said, do people like going to the petrol station? And once we say that, everything becomes up. In fact, that has been the principle for Jeff Bezos. He started, they said, we are always looking to solve the consumer's pain point and work backwards. And when I say consumer pain point, I don't mean for your product. I mean look for. Because consumer doesn't only care about your product, they care about lots of other things. In the restaurant case, consumer doesn't even care about fish, they care about survival. And that's when you start understanding where your product fits in the overall lifestyle. Is all right? Okay, let's go beyond products. And one of the things that I very strongly emphasize is that it's always good, because if you look within your industry, you can only be second best because you're following the lead. And lots of interesting ideas come from looking outside the industry. So one of the things one company I was talking to was Philips and their lighting division. And they don't only sell bulbs to consumers, but they sell lighting fixtures to B2B customers, to airports, for example. So the Amsterdam airport will buy millions of dollars worth of lighting fixtures for lighting the airport. And the question I asked Philips is, what can Philips learn from Zipcar? If you don't know Zipcar is a service that started in Boston long before Uber, where you can rent a car by the hour. You don't need to own the car, you don't need to rent it for the day, you can rent it by the hour. So my question to them and to you is, what can Philips learn from Zipcar?
don't sell the product, but rent it.
Sorry?
Just rent the product.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Just rent the Philip product.
Rent the light. Okay. And so in other words, that's exactly what it is. It is lighting as a service. In other words, I, as a consumer, as a customer, as an airport, I don't care about fixture. Fixture is an input. I care about the output, which is the light. So this becomes pay per use. For every unit of light you use, you pay money. You don't own the fixture. In fact, Philips is not the only company doing that. All these guys are doing the same thing. So Michelin, for example, they basically, when they sell tires to the truck fleets, instead of writing a large service contract and getting money up front, they say, well, for every kilometer you drive, you pay something. And how do I know that? Because I have an RFID chip in the tire, and I know exactly what you do. So rather than getting money up front, I get money for every kilometer you drive, pay per use. Now, why would Michelin do that? Why not get money up front? Sorry? Lock the customer in. So customer retention actually increases because imagine if you were in the old model where you're selling these things. Every time the life of that product expires, you have to buy a new tire. I have to think whether I should buy a machine or something else. But here you're on a continuous basis. So typically as a different service, people are much more loyal because there's a continuous service, we don't drop the service down. So that's certainly one reason customer loyalty is higher. Any other reasons? Why you might not do it? Sorry? What's it? It's like what comes here? Yeah. You learn about the production data. Earlier, when I dropped the tire, I didn't have any clue how they're using it. Now I know how they're using it. So Michelin, for example, learned that the biggest reason for failure of tires was low pressure. So now, when the pressure in the tire is low, because they have chips built into the tire, that data automatically gets fed to the machine. There's an artificial intelligence running in the background, and an automatic text is generated that is sent to the truck driver. That please fill in air because air in your tire. The truck driver fills in the air in the tire. Good for him because there's no flat tire, he can drive, continue driving with no downtime. Good for Michelin because my tire lasts long. So suddenly, this consumption data gives you a lot more insight than you can get otherwise. Product innovation becomes that much faster. It also opens up a very different kind of customers, open up the market. Initially, imagine if you're a fleet of truck, if you own a fleet of truck, every time I buy a tire, it has to be a huge capital investment. But now if I'm paying a monthly service fee, my investment is much lower. So instead of CapEx, it becomes OpEx, and it opens up the market for lots of new customers. It expands the market. And another reason for this is now you have recurring revenue. You have much more predictable revenue as compared to spikes up and down in the spec. And if you're a finance guy, you love cash flow that is predictable and is recurring. So a lot of these guys, in fact, this is not different from, as many of you, software used to be sold in packages. Now we have software as a service. We subscribe to software. This is the same idea extending the product. Instead of selling product, you basically do product as a service. A couple of years ago, I was in Singapore giving this talk to the Asia Pacific board of LVMH. And I asked them this question, what can LVMH learn from Michelin tires? Of course, they were not happy by this comparison. They said, LVMH, we are not Michelin tires. I said, no, that's exactly the point. You learn from outside the industry. So my question to you is, what can LVMH learn from Michelin tires? These are expensive bags. They cost thousands of dollars. You can't afford so many of these bags. Right? So what if we do a subscription model where we have a monthly subscription service and we get a new bag every month? Good for the consumer. Of course, you can set the price for what makes sense. When I proposed this idea, the reaction for LVMH was, you are crazy. Because it hurt our brand. Fair question. You don't want to do it for your top brands, you might want to do it for lower end brands. And by the way, if you don't do it, 3 years ago. So there is a startup in Singapore called Bank Borrow Street. And these are some young kids who basically buy a bank and they have this monthly subscription service. So now, as LBMS, you don't even have to go to your bank. In fact, about 8 or 9 years ago, 2 girls in my MBA program came to my office and they wanted to do a startup. And the problem they explained, and every time somebody comes to me, I say, tell me the consumer problem you're trying to solve. So this is how they describe it. This is a young woman in the age of 28, 29, which is the typical age of our MBA students at 27, 28. They go to these fancy parties. And for these fancy parties, they wear these expensive dresses. Many of these dresses cost thousands of dollars, which they can barely afford. But the bigger challenge is they don't want to be seen in the same dress twice. So the next party, they can't wear the same dress. So how do you solve this problem? And the solution was very simple, was to create a Netflix of dresses. Where instead of buying the dress, you rent the dress, wear it to the party and return it. And you get a monthly subscription service. They started this, it's called Rent the Runway, based in New York. And now grown very, very rapidly. And in fact, it's going to go public in the next couple of years. And the valuation is over $1 billion. Now you take the same idea and ask yourself, can car companies do this? Why do I have to drive the same car for 5 years? What if I want to drive a convertible over the weekend and a different car next month? And again, we have a lot of the car experts here. The car companies were not happy. They thought I was crazy. But in fact, Cadillac is testing a subscription service, and so is Porsche. And again, the benefit of subscription service is it expands the market. People who could never afford Porsche, they can now actually test it. And as the Uber and the ride services go up, car ownership will go down. So this might be another source of revenue for the companies who start. So what is the moral of the story? I think the moral of the story is more and more you see, certainly the young consumers, they don't want to own things. They want access more than ownership. So the question becomes, can we provide them access without forcing them to own something? So rather than selling them the product, we're selling them a subscription service with all the benefits that we talk about. So one of the things that we learned is when you move in that direction, actually there are significant shifts that happen inside the company. It's not as simple as moving to a subscription service. There are significant changes that happen inside the company in almost every department. All right, how are we doing it? Everybody holding all right? Okay. Let's take the last story and then I'll shut up and then open to any questions. So this is a smart thermostat. And what is smart about it is that if you put this thermostat in your house, it will detect your movement. And based on your movement, it will, if you're not home, then it will basically adjust the temperature so you save energy. Alright? This company was bought by Google about 4 years ago, for more than $3 billion. They said, why is Google buying thermostat? It's not their business. They're in a search engine. They're an advertiser. Why is Google buying thermostat? Sorry? Google Home. So, in fact, the goal is not to sell thermostats. Google has this vision of connected home of the future. 4 years ago, now Google has Pixel and Google Home, but 4 years ago, Google had no hardware. And in order to create a connected home, I need a hub or a platform inside your home from which all the devices can be connected. Whether it's your television, whether it's your refrigerator, whether it's your garage, whether it's your washing machine. So how do I do this? I need to get inside your home. So this is a Trojan horse to get inside your home. And once I'm inside your home, because every house has a thermostat. Once I get inside your home, I will work with other manufacturers, washing machine and dryer guys, to build apps that will work with Nest. Just like Android has the operating system on which the third-party people can develop the apps. So this is not a product. This is really a hub or a spread. It's not just Google, lots of other companies are thinking, moving from product to becoming a platform. John Deere, if you ask them 15 years ago, they will say, I'm in the business of making tractors. Today, if you ask them, they say, I'm in the farm animal. Why? Because farmers are not buying tractors for the sake of buying tractors. They're buying tractors in order to improve their productivity. And in order to do that, they need to have better weather forecast, they need to have better seed plantation, and they need to have better irrigation. So in fact, now John Deere is hiring computer scientists who are writing algorithms to advise the farmers as to what seeds to plant, in what soil, and what temperature, and what moisture. John Deere never had computer scientists in the company. Now they're hiring thousands of them. They're working with the telecom companies by putting chips in the irrigation system. So when the moisture goes below a certain level, the irrigation system automatically does it. You don't have to do all this stuff yourself, but you partner with other people to create this market. So let me ask you a question, and back to some platforms. Remember, what is the definition of platform? Think of Amazon. Amazon was a retailer and became a marketplace or a platform. In other words, I invite third-party sellers also to sell them. I'm not only selling my own stuff. So can banks become platforms? So I had a lot of discussion with the banks, and in fact, one of the I consider visionary is Francisco Gonzalez, who is the chairman of BBVA in Spain. And this vision is that the banking products are becoming commodities. All the mortgage, checking account, savings account, you name it, they all look the same. At least the consumers, they all look the same. Banks may think differently, but consumers feel they are exactly the same. So the competitive advantage in the future is not going to come from product differentiation. They're going to be exactly the same. So then the question is, if you're a large bank like BBVA, what is your key asset? Your key asset is not product, because everybody has the same product. Your key asset is access to millions of customers who are your customers. Just like Amazon, the key asset is access to lots of customers. That's why third-party sellers are willing to come to my platform to access those customers. If that's the key advantage, then his vision is we will build a technology platform on which first we will sell our products, but then we invite new fintech companies to plug into the API to sell their products to our customers. Why? Because fintech companies need access to new customers. They don't have customers, but they have innovative products. And our customers will benefit from getting new innovative products, just like Amazon customers benefit from third-party seller products. And in the future, maybe even competitors will be forced to join. Why are they forced to join? Because once I create these network effects, the more fintechs come on there, my platform, more innovative products on my platform, more customers will come, and they might create much more money. Now, this is in the very early stage, whether banks can or cannot become a platform, but I think it's an interesting idea for banks to explore, because this will be a very different way to fight the competition rather than basically fighting the business problem. So, BBVA is already launching banking as a service platform, testing it out exactly in this direction. And the strategy for a platform strategy is very distinct from a product-based strategy. The way we all learned strategy was very product-based strategy that makes the best product, charge higher price, have higher margin, have a higher market share. That is how we learn strategy. A platform-based strategy is much more collaborative, much more open, and requires a very, very different. And there's a lot of research done. So let me end by saying my fifth lesson, if you will, is to build product as a platform. So again, we're moving away from product per se to thinking as a service or thinking as a platform and focusing more on the consumer side and consumer pain point rather than product factors per se. So this is a quick overview of the first 2.5 chapters of my book. The rest you can read. Thank you. Happy to take any questions, any comments. Feel free to disagree. Is there any stopping Amazon? So I mean, it's clearly everybody's scared of Amazon. And you have to ask yourself, why are they scared of Amazon? Amazon got Whole Foods, a physical brick and mortar grocery store. The day they bought it for $13 billion, the stock price of all the grocery stores went up by more than $13 billion. So So effectively, the other guys pay for whole foods. And I think the biggest threat to Amazon is they might spread themselves all over the place and lack of focus, as we all call it. But they have built in a very nice way that it's not really lack of focus, at least so far, that there's all connected dots. These are different dots, but they're all connected. I'm making movies in order to sell shoes. So far as you can articulate that, and you can show that with the data, they're very data-driven company. They're definitely hard to sell. Yeah.
For Amazon, what do you think came first, the customer itself or the supplier?
So think about it. Let's say when you start Google, you want to start with customers, you want to start with drivers. On day one, you start the service. You need drivers, you need suppliers, because they have nothing to sell. The customer wouldn't know anything. In fact, when Uber started its service in New York, they actually had their own black box as a starting point. You need to have something in the store. You can't have an empty store. You need to have something in the store. So in the early stages, you actually focus on the suppliers to get enough suppliers on board, and then very quickly you shift to getting more demand, depending on your phase.
As startups and SME become very competitive against the MNC, the multinational company, as you were saying, big companies like American companies, they are like Titanic. It takes long to maneuver. What's your projections in terms of the existence of this company in the future? Will they become extinct as they become competitive against the small company, or they have to adapt to the market?
No, I don't think everybody will become extinct, but if they don't adapt, they will. I mean, that's the history of business, which is not necessarily bad. So, a lot of companies have been around for a long time. Unilever, Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola have been around for hundreds of years. So it's not that they will become extinct. It's just the pressure of the marketplace and environment are quite different. And it happens, it's not just now. Every technology revolution, every major shift in the marketplace necessitates a shift in business model. So, almost all companies are aware that they need to change. They just don't know what to change. They're all scared that they don't want to become the next Kodak. Right? Everybody knows the Kodak story, everybody knows the BlackBerry story. And they don't want to become that. The question for them is what to do. And that part is unclear.
Russia getting involved and basically is impeachable for that. And Brexit as well.
We can send you a strong portfolio if you want. But no, I think the politics becomes highly digital. So there's a huge amount of Facebook and all the other media used for political campaigns. And of course, there's a big issue of hacking other people, Marilyn Russia is a big question mark. That's going to be strong because how do you control the hacking part or people coming from the back door is becoming very, very hard. So I'm not quite sure. I haven't talked a little details about how you manage that process. And people can influence. These social media are designed to influence people in a very subtle way. And last election, they influenced that. I don't have easy answer.
Yes. Hello.
Yep.
Thank you, Professor. I'm especially interested in your book.
Where are you? I can't see you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I'm not standing up, sorry. So, Professor, your book on driving digital strategy, right, is newly published, correct? And I'm very interested in what you presented today because you said what you presented for an hour is only covered a few chapters of your book, right? So how do you get a copy of your book? You bring a few copies here, if possible I can buy one, or you can give me one for free here. So I can finish the whole thing.
I'm not carrying books. The answer is Amazon.
Amazon.
Go to Amazon.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry. With HBO and Disney getting into the movie streaming arena, just wanted to know your thoughts. How do you think Netflix can compete with them?
Well, Netflix is perfectly safe. Because I think Disney will have a good traction with you. What is going to happen is CBS has its own streaming service. Disney now has its own streaming service they're launching. HBO will have its own streaming service. Every channel, every company is going to do direct to streaming service, right? Because they want to compete with Netflix. Now think from the consumer's point of view. You're a consumer, and you have 20 companies reaching out to you with streaming service. Are you going to download 20 apps and subscribe to 20 services? No way. So you will see an aggregator come up and say, I will bundle it, and you pick and choose whatever you want. So this will be a new version of a cable, where you pick and choose. So you'll get a Netflix and an HBO and Disney, and forget about the rest. So the major players will survive, but they will have another new intermediary that will come in, for sure. And that will defeat the purpose of all these guys who want to go direct to customers. Because from a consumer point of view, I don't want 20 services. So you'll see that in 2 years, I bet that's exactly what's going to happen. Yep.
Professor, I see your previous slide regarding the mention about IoT and how the IoT will be play a key role in reimagining business, digital business strategy. What is the key role on IoT today?
So I think IoT is already playing and will play an even bigger role in B2B business. So for example, Siemens and GE and many of these large companies, if you have wind turbines in places, you can put chips into the wind turbines and you can do predictive maintenance. If you're a mining company, you can put chips into these machines so you don't have to go into the more places in the mining and you can do predictive maintenance. Why is predictive maintenance important? Because the downtime is extremely expensive. In oil rigs, downtime is not only expensive, but it costs lots of human life. So for safety and cost purposes, it's a huge benefit of predictive maintenance. But then companies are going one step further. So if you are a wind farm, you have to manage the electricity production, because if you produce below a certain threshold, you have to buy electricity in the spot market because the utility company wants so much electricity for sure. So now companies like GE are becoming risk managers because they can predict what is the wind velocity is going to be 3 or 4 days down the road. And based on that, they can speed up a wind turbine or they can slow down a wind turbine. And they're managing the production of electricity so that you don't have to buy that much more on the spot market and it saves you money. So there's all kinds of options available, but I think we are just in the first inning.
Take a tire which is on rent, and the company knows where you're going, how many kilometers you're doing, and then probably they will be selling this data, you don't know where. And then when does it end?
So I think privacy is a huge issue. That's why you see in Europe the GDPR, all the other privacy rules, and security will become huge. If you want to buy a stock in any company, buy a stock in a cybersecurity company, because that will become definitely a huge thing. And the governments are struggling in terms of this. And I think the problem is in terms of, there's a research done in the US which asked consumers about how much data they were able to share. What it showed is 20% of the consumers don't want to share their data at all, no matter what. They say, it's my data, I don't want to share it with anybody. The other 20% of the consumers, especially young people, don't care. They say, I have nothing to hide, take whatever you want. Large majority in between saying, I'm willing to share data if you give me some value and you don't share with third party. So I trust the first party, I trust the bank, I trust Michelin, I trust somebody. But my problem is not Michelin, my problem is that they sell it to somebody else. Right? I think that's where the regulations have to come in. So it doesn't have to go beyond that. But you know, the new business model will come because the companies know your consumption behavior. So for example, take the car I'm BMW, I know exactly what you drive, how far you drive, how fast you drive, when you brake much harder when you accelerate. I can sell you insurance, far better than insurance companies. Because insurance companies don't have that information. Insurance companies sell you insurance based on your demographics. But I can sell you insurance based. So I can imagine in the future, car insurance companies will go out of business because car companies will get it exactly the So some other things will come up, but of course, data privacy is a huge issue. And I think governments have to step. They're still trying to figure out how to manage the process without fighting the Congress.
I'm still not sure why you made the digital strategy when the example you recently are not all digital companies.
So, say it again.
Why do you name the book digital strategy?
What is digital about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why is it digital? Because it's an example of non-digital companies.
Yeah. So, in fact, most people talk about digital. Digital has different names differently. When most people talk about digital, they think of artificial intelligence, blockchain, IoT, all the fancy stuff. I think that's the wrong way to think about it. Those are our core technology enablers. Ultimately, the purpose of all this technology is to solve a business problem. Right? And the way I think about it is what technology has done is change some of the aspects of business. So, because of Amazon, because of e-commerce, Best Buy is in trouble. So Best Buy has to figure out as to how to manage the disruption. So that's where I come from. Because consumer behavior of cars buying process has shifted, because I can do all the search online, therefore dealership may have to change. So it's traditional businesses. My focus is traditional businesses, how they need to change, because digital technology has shifted consumer behavior or shifted some parts of the business. I don't care whether you put chips or whether you put IoT or anything. And in fact, that's where people go wrong. So I'll give you an example. I talk to many retailers in the US, and they all say, I ask them, what are you doing in this area? And they say, we are putting beacons into the retail stores. The beacons are these little chips that you put in the retail stores in order to track the consumers coming in and going out. And then we ask them, why are you putting beacons in the retail stores? They say, because we want to track consumers going in and out of that we'll get the data. Because online we know who's coming and going. Offline, we don't know who's coming and going. I said, great, what are you going to do with that data? And then everybody pauses and says, we don't know, we'll figure it out. That's a wrong answer. That's going off in technology for the sake of technology because that seems like a sexy thing to do. My way of looking at it is, forget about this, just figure out the consumer pain point. And I tell them, I can tell you the consumer pain point. If I go to a large department store like Macy's in the US, first of all, they may have billions of products, but I can't find anything that I want. Why don't you put a simple damn iPad there where I can search for myself? That's a much easier solution, technology solution, than putting people in the store. Second pain point, once I buy something in a retail store, I'm waiting in line to pay for it. Because there's always 5 people, 10 people. And there's always somebody in front of me who wants to return something which takes 30 minutes. Why can't I pay myself and walk out? In fact, Amazon has designed this new store that some of you may know called Amazon Go, where there's no cashier. If you're an Amazon Prime member, you walk into the store, pick up an item, walk out of the store. Now, this was not focused on technology, but technology enables. They have computer vision that they use in the warehouses to design the store. But the starting point was not computer vision. Starting point was looking at the consumer problem and saying, I couldn't solve that problem before, now I can because I have the computer vision technology. So that's my view of digital. If the digital comes in the background, it should not come in the front end. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yes, so I would like to invite Mr. Isai, representative from Contemporary, come up to the stage to get the donation from Professor Sunil. you. Okay, the last one before we having our dinner, I would like to invite Romani come to the stage just for you. If you have information, what you want to have more information, you want to ask about Howard, you want to ask more information about the book or whatever. Romani is the regional director for HCP program from Howard. So please.
Cool.
Thanks for having us over, and you can visit our website, and I'll be happy to answer any questions specifically that you have.
Thank you. Please enjoy your dinner.
Who sleep on my back?
Yeah.
Who drive my car? Sit on my chair. Where's my son?
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, that is our time to join the dinner as well. But I got some questions, a few questions. Ask you how do you understand about the digital age presented by Dr. Zanny?
I'm hungry. I want to eat something.
Okay, so you are hungry. So before coming into the answer, you are going to get some food first. Okay, thank you.